Laying mystically off the west coast of Ireland, a group of sacred islands protected by commanding Atlantic swells and fierce rocky cliffs known as the Aran Islands. The history of the world is written in the wars and killing deeds of a nation, but that is a dead history, based on the bigotry and hates of people. Living history lies in the hearts and souls of humans and in their day-to-day activities. The three main islands, Inishmore, Inishmaan and Inishere, are long and low, resembling a group of stranded whales. Creeping one by one away from the Connacht mainland and facing the open Atlantic, they harbour memories of ancient Ireland, the history and traditions of Gaelic culture, and the spirit songs and stories of an island people. With a population of just over 800 people, this magical island is filled with mystery and surprise. The Aran Islands are a native Gaeltacht, in which the Irish language is the predominant vernacular or language of the home. The name Aran may have been derived from the Irish word ara, which means kidney, because of the kidney shape of Inishmore. It equally may have been abbreviated from the Irish expression Ard Thun, meaning the height of the waves.
I would rattle back the twisted years in the bitter wasted winds, if the God above would let me lie.
In the book Aran Islands at the Edge of the World, we are told, in times past, isolation was a feature of Aran life. Gale-force winds still occasionally sever shipping links, and back when this was the only form of transport, the population would have been cut off from the outside world, often for weeks on end. The shelving seabed around the islands makes for a particularly treacherous sea during a storm. In the early days, travel to the islands was usually undertaken in the traditional currach or curragh, a boat made of skin fixed over a wooden frame, thus giving a light but fragile vessel that pitched and tossed with the high waves. Although much has changed on the Aran Islands, a great deal has remained the same. Irish is still the first language of the islands, although the residents are now bilingual. Flocks of guillemots and herring gulls still nest in the cliffs, raising their cries to rival the voice of the wind. The waves still crash against the shore, sculpting new features and flinging seaweed far up the beach, and the people still tell stories of the past on wintry nights when the Atlantic rages permitted no one to leave and no one to arrive. On Aran, the past and the present are intimately bound together.
It was by the banks of a clear flowing stream that first I accosted that comely young dame, and in great confusion I did ask her name. Are you Flora Aurora, the famed Queen of Tyre? She answered, I'm neither, I'm shielding ye higher. Go rhyming rogue, let my flocks roam in peace. You won't find amongst them the famed golden fleece. The tresses of Helen, that goddess of Greece, have hanged round your heart in a dull of desire. Be off to your spare vans that shielding ye higher. May the sufferings of Sisyphus fall to my share, and may I the torments of Tantalus bear. To the dark land of shades may my soul fall in air, without linnet in song or a note on the lyre. If ever I prove fallen, shielding ye higher. Oh, had I the wealth of the Orient store, all the gems of Peru or the Mexican ore, or the hand of a maid is to mould o'er and o'er bright bracelets of gold or a flaming sapphire. I'd robe you in splendour, my shield in ye ire.
Rising up from the stones of Arran are the great forts and castles which have come to define these islands. The most famous and most impressive of these monuments is Dun Angus on Inishmore, which George Petrie described as the most magnificent barbaric monument in Europe. Situated on the northwestern coast of Inishmore, on the edge of a sheer cliff 87 metres high, is one of the most important of the many dry stone forts scattered along the coast of Ireland. This ancient promontory fort comprises a semicircular walled enclosure open to the sea on one side and surrounded by 3 further roughly concentric walls, all of which terminate at a cliff edge with a sheer drop of several hundred feet to the pounding Atlantic waves below. It is incredible to think about the small community of people that may have settled on the edge of this wind-blown cliff thousands of years ago, looking out towards the Atlantic Ocean. Dun Angus Fort is made of massive blocks of limestone quarried on site. The blocks are carefully placed to withstand time and weather, despite the fact that the entire structure is dry stone built. When Saint Enda established himself on Arran at the beginning of the 6th century, disciples flocked to him from all over Ireland and beyond in search of spirituality and a formula for monastic living. According to various lives of early Irish saints, Arran was the initial training ground for the people who, by their own reputations and foundations, would change the map of Ireland forever. Colmcille of Derry, Kevin of Glendalough, Jarlath of Tuam, Finian of Moville, Kieran of Clonmacnoise, just to mention a few. So great was the reputation of Arran as a centre of spirituality that medieval authors setting out to write the life of an Irish saint felt compelled to state that their candidate had done time in Arran. Because they were islanders, the people of Arran lived a unique, largely self-contained lifestyle. They were almost self-sufficient in terms of food, supplies, culture and entertainment. Until recent times, Arran still relied on the ways of old and was very much a traditional Irish rural settlement. Life was difficult and demanding for the islanders. They worked long, hard hours, trying to eke out a living from inhospitable soil. The farm cluster or clachan was once the main type of settlement on the Aran Islands. Referred to locally as a village, the clachan comprised a group of farmers' dwelling houses and outbuildings built closely together. This type of settlement, going back to Celtic times, was very common in many parts of Ireland before the famine. Living close together gave people a sense of security and solidarity. In the 19th century, the clachan would not have had a main street, village green or marketplace, and would have been without services such as a shop, pub, church or school, which is very different from the modern villages on Arran today. Spinning and weaving, knitting and basket making were all skills that flourished on the Aran Islands. Known as Paul Napiste or the Wormhole, this jaw-dropping natural wonder can be found on the northwest of the island. Measuring 25 metres long, 10 metres wide, this incredible rectangular shaped hole looks like something straight from a sci-fi film. Connected to the sea by underwater channels that allow the water to flow in and out with the tide, currents here are strong and unpredictable. According to legend, the pool is actually a serpent's lair, and some locals believe that it has healing properties. I tell you, men of Ireland, we are the people of the sea, and restless wind, tormented still, have no will but the waters will. As the great sea flood comes and goes, the tide within us ebbs and flows, and high above us, everywhere, scream the wild gulls in the wild air. They cannot cease, the lonely birds, from moaning, and the ancient words that heard but once by night or day sweep the world's boundaries away.
Farewell, farewell to you who would hear, you lonely travelers all. The cold north wind will blow again, the winding road does call, and will